What specific method or channel did you use to get your first lead?
Literally just picked up the phone and started calling numbers.
Yeah, just
And
go, all right, on to the next one. So
yeah, time that we started the project with the client was probably about,
this is so important because people think they need to build a lot of stuff, right?
yeah.
As you said, it does not matter. And
So my recommendation would be to,
right, man. Well, thank you for joining, Cory. What specific method or channel did you use to get your first lead?
yeah. So I started out reaching out to my warm network. So
Nice.
a warm network is just pretty much just anyone you know, right? So it could be family, friends, old colleagues, those sorts of things. I, s- I also did a lot of cold outreach. So what that means is I just picked up the phone. I literally just picked up the phone and started calling numbers,
Shit.
Google Maps, looking at who's in my area and really just talking with folks who are in the industry and, or the niche that I want to focus on, right? So whether it's plumbers or HVAC, roofing, those types of service-based companies.
Perfect. Yeah, so that actually brought up a couple of other questions that I wanted to ask. This is like, what kind of groundwork did you do before you started doing the outreach? Because you mentioned something about niching and picking on Google Maps. I'm guessing you have to think about who you want to target too. Like that's another whole another thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My idea, so focusing on the service-based industries, I couldn't really narrow it down. And so I was really just going wide, and I'm still, to be honest, I'm still going wide with the types of niches I'm focusing on just to see like what's the most stickiest.
Mhm.
So I haven't really necessarily landed on a niche quite yet, to be honest.
I see.
I've done work for plumbers and like legal, right?
All right. That's a
Attorney.
wide range. Yeah.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that you did cold calling, which is, man, I tried that for 2 weeks myself at one point in my entrepreneurial journey. Man, that was stressful. So how did you go about doing the cold calls? How did that go?
Yeah. So I cold calling was scary for me, right?
Mm.
Like
I think it is
especially
like,
when you don't really have like your sea legs yet. So I there's a few people that I've learned from and kind of just followed over the years.
mm,
A lot of my friends are in marketing as well, so I kind
nice.
of just have been paying attention towards the people in that space, and then um, you know, taking what I've learned from them and just applying it to my cold calls. But really, kind of what's been working for me is don't sell on the first, don't sell on the cold call, right? Like everyone's getting sold to on the first call. So my approach, which this is kind of a hack, I call in and if I'm calling folks in my, local area, so I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. And so I'll just say, hey, my name's Cory. I just started a new business. You know, um, I know I notice you do plumbing, obviously. Um, I want to learn a little bit more about your business. Can you tell me kind of like the inner workings about it? How many calls are you answering a day? How much time are you spending on the phone? Those sorts of things. And I really just position it as, hey, I want to learn about you.
Mm,
And it's not like a pitch fest, right? Like, um, I heard someone say one time was be a problem finder, not a product pusher. And that really stuck out to me, right? And so if you you know position yourself as wanting to learn about their business, then they're going to be so curious. They're going to be like, well, what are you calling me about? What are you trying to sell me? So then I'll say like, oh, I'm not trying to sell you anything actually. um
yeah, they
and
know
then as
us
the
that, don't they?
conversation
Yeah.
yeah, as the conversation goes, if it kind of goes in that direction where I feel like, hey, this might be a good fit, then I'll say something like, well, hey, what if we could, save you those hours on the phone every week, and would you be interested in learning a little bit more about the system that I built? So that's kind of how I position the cold calls, but yeah, cold calls can be scary if you're not, used to it or But it's one of those things, it's like going to the gym, getting those reps in, right? You gotta just try and fail and not beat yourself up. I've had people cuss at me over the phone, and you kinda just have to, like, brush off your shoulder
Yeah. Yeah, just
and,
go, all right, on to the next one. So,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. You can't, like, take it personally at all
yeah.
because you are gonna suck.
Yeah.
I suck. I
Thing is
you know,
that they
it's
don't
not
even know you, so like they're not even, it's not even personal anyway. So, um, that's awesome. And how long? So that was you did cold calls. You were so you said if you first reached out to your warm network, which I think like literally anyone you can think of. And then just show off the things that we do, so like voice AI. But it seems like you didn't demo the things that we did to your warm network, or you did. I'm actually curious about that.
yeah, it was kinda like one of those things, like analysis paralysis. I wasn't really, like, focused on one thing, so I was like, "Oh, I'll just try all these things." And, so I shared with one of my buddies, that I was getting into voice, and he checked out a demo, and he's like, "Oh, cool. Well, we actually have one of our clients, or prospect, is interested in building something like this for plumbers." And so, he owns a marketing agency, the prospect, and he works with plumbers directly he does all their marketing.
Oh
So
yeah.
he saw an opportunity where boys could come in, and he kind of wanted to do this, like, kind of like an Uber model where you someone calls in and they give you all their details. They say like, "Hey, my water heater's not working," and get you like the type and the size, collect all the caller's details, and then send it off to their plumber network. And then from there, the plumbers would then fulfill those work orders, and then either same day or next day, you would have a new water heater installed. So that was kind of the model, and that led us into the project. One of my biggest projects I've had in voice AI yet. So building that, we built a whole voice system. We built a chat bot,
Nice.
support for SMS, iMessage, and we used Airtable as well to kind of
Beautiful.
keep track of all the leads. Um, yeah, so that was a really fun project, a long project because there's a lot of updates, and then the scope kind of changed a little bit. So yeah, I learned a lot, and yeah, it was a fun project.
Yeah, I feel like once you start building out the voice stuff and then they start asking you for extra things like that chatbot, SMSing, maybe updating some
Yeah,
kind of dashboard, when you start getting to a whole other level of a build, and yeah, you're right, it can take anywhere from, let's say your initial build took a month. Those extra little things, especially if you don't have them scoped out properly, some scoping happens that can lead up to
yeah.
like a 3-4 month project easily. So,
Mhm.
but I'm assuming the payout wasn't too shabby either for your time and effort there too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, we had, mapped out the scope of the project, and then it just kept changing. The client wanted new stuff and new functionality, and he was very hands-on too. I think I shared this with you. Very hands-on. So he wanted to test the agent and uh, you know, have the agent say very specific things. So that probably took most of the time, just like the back and forth of testing and getting feedback and implementing and
Mhm.
um, but yeah, it was a great first project.
Awesome, glad to hear. And could you tell me the timeline or how long it took you from when you started doing your warm outreach, your cold, and your so it looks like your first client was from the warm, right? So I might actually stop there at that question. How long did it take
Yeah,
you from like the day you started doing that outreach to getting that first lead?
I would say so let's just say from the time that I shared with my buddy to
Hmm.
the time that we started the project with the client was probably about 2 months
Hmm.
because the client and I was working with an agency on this build.
I see.
And so the agency had some meetings with the client just to kind of like iron out the scope of it. So that took the majority of the time was really just
Just talking to him.
figuring out what he wanted to offer and then how we could achieve it. Um, so yeah, I would say probably about 2 months from
Right.
from reaching out and yeah.
Yeah. So that process of like talking to him and then closing him was 2 months to that process. But actually
Yeah.
How long did it take you until you actually found that guy? Like from when you started outreaching?
Yeah, so I started building vapi, I would say April of last year.
No. Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time. I got really focused on just like learning, and I felt like I needed to learn everything before I could actually like make a sale or make any money. And so I would say don't do that. You don't need to learn everything
Yeah.
and be an expert before you can actually do a build. So like that's why we have the voice AI bootcamp, community, right? Is um, post your questions in there and everyone's really eager to help. So I would say, you know, get dive into vapi and learn all of that, or learn the basics, right? Like just do a quick one and then go out and start doing your outreach. So I would say from April to about January,
Hmm.
I was just learning and building. I was also learning like other things too, like Make and NA10. And
Yeah.
so there was a lot of I got stuck in the YouTube loop, right? The learning loop.
You bring
And
up such a
so
good point. I'll have to go deeper on this. Yeah, that's awesome. Keep going.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would say so when I had joined the community, the elite community, in January, I believe, and that's when that's when I landed the plumber client. Um, so I guess you could say from April to January, but I feel like within your first month, you could easily, or maybe even like your first week or two, you could easily get a client, with what you guys teach.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I actually wasn't trying to like, advertise our elite.
No.
But cool, it's cool. It's cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is so important because people think they need to build a lot of stuff and have a restaurant bot ready with rescheduling, with canceling, with everything working perfectly, or they need a cow.com builder, guy who have already set up. They need templates for this. They need to choose retail or vapi and you choose make or retail. It actually doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
As you said, it does not matter. And it's like as long as you get just the high level of what the technology can do so that you can start
Yeah.
doing outreach and then you can link their problem, as you said initially, right, to the solution. This is where the grand slam off of Alex Hormozy can, you know, start to be born or be created. And I think, yeah, you bring up an excellent point. I also want to touch on that YouTube loop, because you have like this fear of missing out
Mhm.
every
Yep.
single day. It's like, oh, this cool new thing came out. Now I have to learn this next new thing and I have to test it. I have to check it out. But actually, in reality, I stuck to the same three programs, which is Airtable, Make, which is from like 2024, right? For last year, and Vapi. Like we just reused those three without worrying about any new things coming in, and we made a lot of money that year, right? And we cut out all the bullshit. Did you want to like double down on that at all? Or,
Yeah. So I would say like obviously these solutions you can reuse these like templates, right? So you have your make scenario or your end-to-end, workflow. All this stuff is really easily duplicatable, and that's why I think there's a huge opportunity in voice.
sure.
Because you build one solution, and it's really all you have to do is change the prompt. Maybe you have some business details that, is going to change from client to client, but those are the things that are like really easy and duplicatable. So, the tech stuff that you mentioned, and
Hmm.
uh, I would say like don't get stuck trying to choose between like retail or Vapi. Just pick one, like you said,
Hmm.
because your clients aren't going to care what tech is running in the background.
Yeah.
And they don't care about your automations or any of that stuff, right? They want to know if it works and does it solve their problem.
Mm.
So if you can do those two things and just focus on those two things, you're going to be really successful at what you do.
Um, I'll love to ask you one more question though. So, you know, most likely the people watching this video are just starting out. So, any tips for them that you'd want to share some wisdom on that?
Pick a niche, right? Choose whether you're going to use Vapi or retail. Again, it doesn't matter. Um, and just put your blinders on. Like, stop watching YouTube videos. Only watch what Henrik and Giannis, are putting out. Um, if you need to learn like new things to apply to your builds, and really just put those like blinders on. No partying, right? Like, don't go out on the weekends.
Yeah. That's a
um,
sacrifice, isn't it?
it is,
Yeah.
right? Like and it's the people that stay like laser focused and have like an end goal in mind. Like, I would say, what is your end goal? Like, look at what your end goal you have in mind and work backwards, and then make the appropriate steps to get there. So, and the best thing to do is just implement and build, and just it's one of those processes where you have to like rinse and repeat to get better at it. The more you get, the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to be, and the more of an expert you're going to be as well. So, yeah, I would say those few things.
Perfect. I think that sums it up real nice. But this in my head brought up another valuable tidbit to mention is that you have to put up with quite a lot of valleys of despair when you're in this space, right? It's not, I don't think it's like for everyone, honestly. It's, you have to deal with, like, you have to push yourself every day. You have to stay
Yeah.
consistent. And I think the word I'm looking for is grit. So, like, you got to kind of grind your teeth, so to say, and like push through some days. But
Exactly.
then those who do, I know you've made an extraordinary amount of money from your project. Um, so like we've definitely proved that it's possible. Um, I've proved that it's possible. A few other people have done it as well. And I think if you're not focusing, if you're not able to focus for like a month or straight more on something like this, just give it a go initially. But I've seen quite a lot of people drop off just because they gave up as soon as they hit one little snag. Like they open up the make.com template and then a module lights up red and they just like freak out and they're just like, no, I'm quitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's like
Yeah, totally. And I don't know if you can see on my wall, I have
it's a bit blurred out. It's like I'm looking at it when
okay,
I'm drunk.
yeah. I have a picture frame, and it just says show up every day.
Oh,
And that's
nice.
just a constant reminder to me to show up every day and do the work. Um, One of my mentors told me a while back, and this always stuck with me, was if it's not on your calendar, then it's not going to happen. Right.
Right.
So you have to be really like diligent and consistent with what you're doing.
Mhm.
So my recommendation would be to put, you know, blocks of time in your calendar that you're focusing on voice agents, or, whatever it may be, um, or the tech behind it. Maybe you spend like an hour learning a day, or maybe you're spending 3 hours building, right? Like,
Yeah.
put those blocks of time in your calendar so you can build that momentum and that consistency. Again, it's like going to the gym, right? You can't just like go lift 300 pounds. Like, it takes, days to get there,
True.
months even. And so, it's not going to happen overnight. So,
So when you did your outreach to get your first leads, were you building anything during that time or in your calendar, like you were saying just then? Did you just have outreach set for that day? Curious about that.
yeah, I had outreach. So, I had outreach set in my calendar, and I was literally, my goal is to do like at least at minimum like 10 calls a day.
Oh, nice.
Um, some days I would hit it, some days I wouldn't, some days I would do more than that. It really just depends. What other meetings I had kind of like in between, or what my day looked like. But um, yeah, it was definitely had a block of time. Um, in the afternoons, I feel like people answer their phone more, so it's kind of like figuring out,
What
when
time?
business is. Like, Monday in the morning at 8 a.m. is probably not a good time to call. So
Yeah.
you wanna aim for maybe like for me in my area, my local area, afternoons work better. So, like, anywhere from like 1 to like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock would work the best, I found. Um, or even like closer to end of business day, like folks would just be sitting, wrapping up their day. And I found that some people were more inclined to talk a little bit more towards the end of the day as well.
We're probably worn out, just tired.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
like, I just
Yeah.
talk with you.
Yeah, that's right. When we did our outbound campaigns, we found that pickup rates were double or triple with an if you'd call early in the morning or late at night. Oh, sorry, late in the
Right.
evening. Yeah, so yeah, definitely calling about the time that you said, which was for us between like 11 and 2 was a good time for us. Yeah, for sure, that definitely increased the chances of getting like talking to someone for sure. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say too, like if you're doing cold calling specifically, make sure like ask the questions of like, hey, are you the business owner, or, are you the decision maker? And you could say something like, you know, let's say Sally answers the phone and she's like the receptionist. You could say something like, she's like, "Hi, Sally," or, "Hi, my name's Sally. This is so and so business." And I'm like, "Hey, Sally, I'm not sure if you're the right person. But I was wondering if who would be the best person to talk to about like systems, right? And
Mhm.
and ask those like a little bit deeper of a question, because a lot of times you'll get those like gatekeepers that which are the receptionists 9 times out of 10, and your voice agent is essentially gonna replace their job, so you can't come in and say like, "Hey, we have this voice agent system that's gonna answer your calls and do all this stuff." She's gonna be like, "Click." So you wanna talk to, like, a decision maker or, like, the owner of the company, when you're dealing with, like, uh, service-based, niches, so
True. I actually noticed that in most cases, that is true. What you about what you said. Some people are actually looking to have one person less work in their job, like as a receptionist, by implementing voice. So yes, I've seen that, but I've also seen it the other way around where they're looking to bring in a voice agent because they don't want to see their employees get treated like shit every day. Because they get called up and they get
yeah.
80% of the calls are spam calls. That's
Mhm.
mostly it. I've talked to a plumber recently. He said that most of the calls are like, even people selling car washing because plumbers drive their cars, right? Like just so
Yeah.
many random calls, and it's mostly just people asking for the owner, just like you said. Right, but I like yours because you twisted that a little bit more, so you're not specifically asking that one question.
A lot of times you will talk to an owner, or if you do talk to a receptionist or someone else within the company, um, when you're pitching your solution, it's good to in my experience, it's good to pitch it as, "Hey, this is gonna augment your business,"
Mm,
right? Like, we're not looking to replace or get rid of anyone in your company, because a lot of times, like, business owners love their people, right?
yeah,
They want them to stick around.
yeah,
So you wanna pitch it like, "Hey, this is gonna allow Sally to go do some other admin tasks." Maybe it's like things she actually likes to do versus like answering the phone. This is gonna allow Sally, this is gonna free up her time to focus on the things that she loves doing and the things that she's good at. So I would say don't come in as like, "Hey, we're gonna replace your employees," because people tend to like their people,
I
right, that
do.
they have
Yeah,
on their team. Um, but if they're, maybe they're, answering the phones on their own, maybe they don't even have a receptionist, and maybe they do need that extra support with the voice agent. So,
Sally could definitely go and have a coffee instead of picking up the phone 10 times in an hour, right?
have people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm sure she'd be very happy mentally and probably come to work more often because of it too. So, there's
right.
thanks, Corey. I think I'm out of my questions. So unless you have anything else you'd want to add, then we can stop the.
No, I don't. I don't have anything else. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. This is awesome.
I'm going to let you in on a secret. The person that I just interviewed, they joined this exact community, Voice AI Bootcamp. It is currently the biggest voice AI educational community in the world. And if you guys don't want to miss out on this golden opportunity, hit that link in the description, and I hope to see you there.